What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. In honor of Drake's 30th birthday tomorrow, we got a special edition of OVO Sound Radio. And during that, he made a couple announcements. We have his new project titled More Life coming in December. I did an extensive video about that and all the stuff that we know so far. I'll include a link in the description so you can check that out. This video, however, is going to talk about the 4 new songs that he premiered on the radio show. He did 3 original songs that may or may not be on the upcoming project, and then a remix. So, let's get into it. With Two Birds, One Stone, Drake is really on his rapping tip. And I think this is probably one of the better songs out of the 4, because whenever Drake really raps, he's like really good. And now I think this record is going to get the most attention because of the subliminals. It seems like nowadays whenever Drake does decide to really go in, to really rap, there's always some kind of a target in mind. And this one is no different. You have a few shots at Tory Lanez. You have, unfortunately, a shot at Kid Cudi. He said, "You were the man on the moon, now you just go through phases. Life of the angry and famous." And I think this line in particular has caused a debate on Twitter. It's like a back and forth. I've seen a lot of people against the line. I've seen a lot of people that don't care like that. I think it boils down to your personality. For people who are against the line, they're looking at it like Kid Cudi is going through mental problems, so this shot is very unnecessary. You don't need to attack him like that. But then on the opposite end, the people that are for the line are saying, well, there's been harder hitting things said in a diss before. Like, people have talked about killing someone's kids and sleeping with people and just all kind of chaotic things over the years of hip-hop. So I don't really want to get into like where I stand on it. I get both sides though. It makes sense why people would be for it and why people would be against it. So you have that. There's also another debate looming. I think with Drake's new music, it's kind of what do I say, interesting or weird that a lot of it revolves around these subliminals. It's like subliminals have been embedded into Drake's overall persona, and it makes sense. He has dropped a lot of records where he's going at people subliminally, but I think now it's kind of like we anticipate it. Whenever Drake drops new music, we're like, oh my god, did he say this about this guy and that? So there's another debate I've seen kind of rising on my timeline about a couple lines that could be aimed at Pusha T, and then I've also seen Rick Ross. So the lines are, but really it's you with all the drug dealing stories that's gotta stop though. You made a couple chops and now you think you Chapo. If you ask me, you ain't lining the trunk with kilos. You bagging weed with your homies watching Pacino. Now, it definitely sounds like it could apply to both Rick Ross and Pusha T. Drake would be dissing Rick Ross because of his loyalty to Meek Mill, and it makes sense anyways. And Pusha T and Drake have been throwing shots at each other for so long. I think a lot of people want it to be Pusha T because they want Pusha to really go in. And I think it would be good for him considering his upcoming album is kind of, it's been a rocky road in a sense. He's put out like a couple songs, but nothing has really stuck. So it's kind of like if he gets this beef going with Drake and really goes in like I know he would, it could lead to some hype that you really can't buy. You can't buy this kind of hype. So I would welcome, a Pusha T response. It could be aimed at Jay-Z too, because he was talking about his story being in the streets earlier this year on Drug Dealers Anonymous, and most recently they had the issues. Kanye kind of aired him out over some stuff that involved Drake. So it's kind of like Jay could be the target, but so can Pusha T and Rick Ross. I think Rick Ross is kind of like the push him to the side. He's not really the person that it's aimed at. So you got Pusha or you got Jay, and they both did a record together, so it could technically be about both. I don't know. It's a headache trying to come up with like the theories for Drake's subliminals, because they're so on a high level of quality that you have to sit down and really decipher them line by line and really figure out what is he saying here. And even sometimes now you probably can't tell. But amidst all the shots, I think Two Birds, One Stone was my favorite, just because I like Drake when he really raps. So I think that was my favorite out of the four. The second record is Wanna Know. It's a cosign to buzzing UK singer Satan Dave. He is someone who's been gaining a little bit of attention here and there. He has over 26,000 followers on Twitter. I'm not going to pretend and sit here and act like I know who he is or who he was. The record is really good though. I like it. I like that Drake is on his R&B too, because I think you gotta satisfy both sides. You gotta satisfy the rap, you gotta satisfy the R&B, and so Drake does that with these four songs. With that said, I feel like the Wanna Know remix would have a better impact if it wasn't included in these four songs, because like I just discussed, Two Birds with One Stone, you have everybody talking about subliminals in that record, and then we'll get to the other two records in a second, but it would have more of an impact. And not to say that it won't right now, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to pay attention to Dave. They're going to look into his catalog and see if he's really good, and if he has other records that sound good. So he's definitely going to get a push from this, but I think if it had came on its own, it would have a better impact. The third record that he dropped is titled Sneakin', and it features 21 Savage. With this song, I really wasn't too impressed. I think with 21's verse, he gives you exactly what you want out of him. If you listen to Savage Mode, he pretty much gives you those same type of bars. And that's good, because I like 21 for what he is. I'm not hoping for him to like change his sound. I'm not a big fan of the production. London on the Track has done a lot better in the past. The thing about the beat is that it doesn't really give off Drake and 21 vibe. It feels like it could just go to any trap rapper out there. It's a very generic beat when you look at it in that regard. Lastly, you have a record titled Fake Love. I think this is going to be the single. If Drake decides to keep the three original songs for his upcoming project, Fake Love is going to be the single, because it's like a mixture of Hotline Bling and like a Travis Scott impersonation. I think it's going to be big because of that. When Drake creates a hit, you kind of automatically know. I mean, people said Hotline Bling was going to be big, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was his biggest song to date. So I think Fake Love, I'm not saying it's going to be his biggest song, but it's definitely going to be a single that you hear all over radio. Personally, I don't really care for the song too much. I wasn't the biggest Hotline Bling fan either. But again, I'm not knocking the record at all. It's just my own personal preference. However, I can't deny that it's going to be a hit. So we'll see in the coming weeks if this actually gets serviced to radio like it should. Those are my thoughts on the 4 songs that Drake put out today. So once you hear the songs, let me know what you think about them in the comment section below, and then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter at SermonsDomain, and as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, peace.